So I've managed to get a big pile of compost ready, and I need it for sowing some seeds. That's my next job today. So I thought I would show you guys what I'm doing, because some of you guys are actually interested in that stuff. So the idea for today then, seeds wise, I don't have heaps to do. I'm just filling in some gaps. So the big focus for today is things like the salad greens, because it's summer and everyone likes all their salads. And we're a bit short, so I need to get some sown to get it added in. So it's going to be things like, I'm going to do some cut and come again, because we need more of that. I'm going to get pea shoots going. I'm going to try a new thing. I'm going to try landcress, which I've never done before. But Kate really likes it and keeps buying it from Tesco. So I thought I may as well try and grow it myself. What else? Some perpetual spinach, because the ones we've got are bolted. So I'm going to get some more going, because that way they'll be done, ready for going through kind of winter. Because yes, even though it's July, these are the things I'm starting to think about. But of course, as you guys know, the greenhouse is absolutely chock-a-block with peppers, tomatoes, herbs, all of that kind of stuff, and I've no space to move in here. So I need to get my little potting bench set up outside so that I can get seeds done out there. I don't need heaps, but that's okay. I'm focusing on what I need for my garden and the stuff I'm growing. Oh, so July for me then. Oh, let's see. So the saga of the dwarf French beans, let me tell you. I think I'm on sowing 3 or 4 now, and finally I've got 2 that have germinated out of all of that. So I'm glad I bought those beans. They're fine, they've survived. They didn't look great when they arrived, looking better now, but at least I've got a set of beans that I will definitely get a harvest from. I've also got the one bean from the original sowing, I think back in April. This is my one Fandango dwarf green bean. Only one, stop laughing.
Takes 2 to tango, Fandango.
What was that, honey?
I said it takes 2 to tango, but how many does it take to fandango? 1 apparently.
Yeah, well, just let's go. It's now flowering in this bed, so fingers crossed. And this bed is where the other 2 have just come up in the last week as well. But I might be lucky, given that I say to you guys about how the weather has changed over the last few years, and I've noticed it. It's not as cold as early in the season as it used to be. We're getting that maybe into September, towards the end of September, still not bad. So I'm going to risk another sowing of green beans today. But I'm going to try. I've binned the Fandango. I've decided, obviously, those seeds are past. So I'm going to try the Sprite ones that Steve from Green Side Up was talking about, because he has taken the mickey out of me about how he's at 100% germination. So I'm going to try Sprite. And if I don't like these beans, it's Steve's fault. So they're getting done today. Also, I'm focusing on salad today because, well, salads, lettuces, that type of thing. Because I've got 3 lovely gem lettuce up in the bed. There's 2 here that, believe it or not, are from the same batch. They were all the same size when I put them out, but clearly that front bed is one that the lettuce has liked and it's come up. So I'm a wee bit behind and short. That is all I've got. None of the last of my 3 sowings of lamb's lettuce have done anything, so I'm completely behind. So what we're going to do today is a few different things. So now this is just a kind of cut and come again lettuce bowl type thing. It's a little small soft leaves. So I'm going to get a tray, one of these trays going with these guys. Now this variety I just grabbed, I think from Premier Seeds, and they're called Mysticanza, but it is just that little mixed batch thing. Okay, so the variety doesn't really mean anything. I'm going to get some of them going. The French beans, and I've also got some landcress. I've never grown this before. It wasn't in the plan, but what was in the plan, I was doing lots of beetroot leaves for going in the salads, and our usual cut and come again were all the kind of spiky, frilly type things. I'm not a massive fan of the spiky, frilly leaves. I just think there's nothing to them. But Kate bought some landcress the other week and we really liked that in our salad, so I'm going to do some of that. Never grown it before, so this will be fun. So I've got my cut and come again lettuce, leaves, my landcress, I've got my French beans. I'm also going to do another batch of pea shoots because I've none of them left and I quite like them in a salad. And they have been really reliable for me. So I'm going to get all that done today. First one is going to be the beans then. So I'm going with the big long root trainers just so they've got a bit of space, they've got plenty of compost and nutrition in there because I'm being optimistic this time, guys. They're going to germinate. So I just fill these up. I know someone will ask, and you guys will have seen loads of these containers on YouTube because everybody's using them at the minute. This is my first year using them, so at the minute I can't really tell you much about them. I haven't given them enough of a test yet, but they're from Container Wise. It's a UK company. I'm afraid you can't get them in the States. But if you want to go and look at containerwise.co.uk is their website if you want to look at them. But they're just module trays, but they're rigid. That's kind of the main difference. And this is a big batch of homemade compost that I took out the bin a couple of hours ago. I came out to just grab a little bit for sowing seeds and ended up with a complete hotbin and a half because it was way more ready than I had realised. Oh, I'm not mic'd up, so I don't even know if you'll be able to hear me because I wasn't expecting to be doing any talking to camera stuff. I thought I was going to come out and just get like a wee bucket full of compost and I'd sieve it and I'd use it for sowing seeds in a video later. In fact, I've got 1.5 bins worth, and this is half of it, of beautiful compost. Which I wasn't prepared to be shoveling and dealing with, so that's pretty much what I'm doing in this heat. I've got a method. I might share it with you guys if there's enough of you use bins, you know, where you open the bottom and shovel compost out. Which is good, because I had run out. And of course, I've made up my mix, so you'll see the white stuff in here people ask about. That's perlite. I add perlite specifically for drainage because it doesn't hold water or nutrients or anything. It's just to keep it loose for drainage. That's my neighbour singing. So, like all of the other beans I've been doing, these are dwarf French beans, or I think some people call them bush beans, but basically they're not going to get very tall, they're not going to need supported, they pretty much get about that tall, they just support each other. They don't give enormous harvest though, that's the big difference versus the standard green beans that you grow up a pole, and I think they get called pole beans in the States. So you don't get as much of a harvest with these because they're much smaller plants. Which is why I was starting to worry because nothing was germinating. Because it was small harvests topped with the short season we get here, usually. She says standing in 25 Celsius. So I'm just going to put a couple of these in each module, just in the hope that we get at least one plant in each. On. Get them covered up in a good water. And of course, a label. just hunting to see if I already had one that said beans, but I think I put it in the bed. I think last time I said to you guys, I probably don't need a label because you can recognise the beans really easily. But unless they germinate, it's still just a tray of compost. Dwarf green beans, done. Next one then. Everything else I'm doing in my standard little seed flat trays because it's small seeds that I'm going to broadcast sow. And the same as usual, my compost is already quite moist. I've already made sure there's moisture in there because with little seeds, you don't want to water from above because it displaces all the seeds. So it's already nice and moist, and I will sit it in a tray of water to give it a good soak once I've sown everything. Oh, I just forgot to bring the stuff over here, so I'll be doing it afterwards. But the first thing I'm going to do then is the cut and come again salad leaves. Now this entire packet is in every language except English. Well, it's not got Gaelic either. So I can't really tell you much about them because I don't understand any of it. I could get Kate to help, but she'd be embarrassed. So I'm just going to give them a bit of a spread across the surface, just broadcasting. Don't do too many because you don't want them too packed in. But now, I don't have one of those presses that you'll see people using, but you want to make sure your seeds are really nicely in contact with that nice damp compost. I just use the bottom of another seed tray, give it a good press, and that does the job. So, cut and come again. My pen's starting to die. Lastly, landcress. I'm going to attempt to sow them a bit finer, slightly bigger seeds. Something I've spoken to you guys about before is clean your hands off over the tray you've sown in because you don't want to drop seeds into the compost you use for other things. I had an interesting year of foxgloves because of that. I just had that random thought there. The other thing I'm wanting to do is some perpetual spinach, but I can't find it. Okay, it's getting a bit full. Found it. Now, perpetual spinach is not a spinach, it's actually a chard. And I think I mentioned this to you guys before when I was sowing it. It's a new one for us this year. And we've discovered already, we've got 4 plants in this bed which have started to bolt just with it being so hot and so dry at the minute. But this is a good time to get another lot sown that will take me through winter. They're actually generally pretty amazing plants that will just keep going and you keep harvesting. We've discovered though, as I said, we've got I think 3 or 4 plants in there. It's a bit much for us. A couple would do, so I'm only going to do 2 pots and I'll do a wee bit of sowing in each. The intention being at the end that I'm only going to keep 2 good healthy plants that are going to go into the bed. So they're a bit like if you grow beetroot. Looks a bit like that. It's these little multi-seeds. So I'm just going to put 2 or 3 per pot in there and cover them up. My plan had me doing pak choy again just now, but I actually don't need any because I've got 2 trays of it in the greenhouse ready to go out. But it's another one to be careful with at this time of year because it can bolt very easily with just the heat and the lack of water. So what I do is I keep all of my greens quite sheltered when it's like this. Hence I've got them in different beds for different positions. So, still spinach. There is a running joke in this house about perpetual spinach. Kate likes to tell me it's still spinach. In fact, this was her the other day.
Honey,
Uh-huh.
I brought you a bouquet.
Oh, what is it?
Still spinach.
Last one then is a little tray of peas. I have just had so much success with growing pea shoots this way, so I'm sticking with it, sticking with the varieties I've been growing, which has been Meteor First Earlies or my Kelvin Dawn Wonders. Because I'm only growing them for pea shoots, I'm not worried about what ones I'm growing really, because I don't need them to be big plants. But I just give these a good scatter. And I'll cover them over. If you're a big grower of peas, you will have heard a lot of folk will soak their peas before they sow them, just to try and give them that head start. And you absolutely can, and loads of folk do that. It's not something I've ever bothered with, and I've not found it's a problem either way. So another one of those, you guys can decide what you want to do. I can hear off behind camera, ow, ow, ow. I'm guessing Kate's deadheading something spiky. It's a tree. Which tree that's spiky? Little fir. There we go. Peas. Oh. So, my July sowings then, I've got peas for pea shoots, I've got DWARF green beans because we love them and hopefully they will take so I can keep getting harvests. Landcrest for the first time because we want to grow some nice leafy greens for salads. We also have some cut and come again salad leaves and some perpetual spinach which will go out in this bed. That's me for July based on what we need in our garden, but there is loads more you might be able to grow in your garden. You'll hear quite a lot at the moment, you'll hear folk talk about second spring because pretty much what you planted in spring, you can plant now because it will generate fast because of the heat just now. So things like you could get another sowing of beetroot out, you can either in module trays or direct sowing. Some folk might be lucky enough to be able to get carrots going before winter. Another lot of spring onions if you need them. Do we need spring onions, hun? I don't need spring onions. Again. This is going to be the last Garlic Watch Wednesday of this season. And I've got a bit of a conundrum. As you guys know, we were just losing one after the other. It was just this end of the bed just seemed to be rotting away. So everything just looked awful. So I've just pulled it all. There are 3 maybe potential bulbs. But I don't think they've split into cloves. I think they've just been issues this year. There's no sign of rot or anything for the people that were telling me I had white rot. It looks fine other than just not what I was expecting. But I have a conundrum and this is it. So you can see back there is the label that says garlic. So from that label there, all the way across this side of the bed was where I planted the garlic. And I already told you guys that I pulled at least a full row there, most of a row there, and then I've just emptied this row there. But there are all these massive onions, and I'm pretty sure those are spring onions. I'm 99% certain I didn't put any onions there. But if they're spring onions, obviously they've been here a while and I've forgotten about them. Look, they're bulbing up like actual onions. And they're definitely, I'm sure, they are not actual onions, they're spring onions. Because the first lot of onions I planted are yellow onions, or these ones. And then the white onions are there. So if they were onions, they would be white onions. Even that, look, these are, I forgot spring onions and this is what happens. For the purposes of Garlic Watch Wednesday, I got a second opinion. What are we thinking?
We're thinking we've grown the world's biggest spring onions. I think. I don't know, because you could probably brain somebody with one of those. They're huge.
It's like, do we pull it to check? What do we do?
I'm fairly sure this one's a spring onion. Those ones, because they're rounder and right.
Hang on. For scale, look. Yeah, these are kind of more straight.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I wouldn't just put 2 random onion sets in a row of spring onions.
You would have thought not.
I
This one's
think
about the size of a leek. Look at it! That's a leek-sized spring onion. The little wee man.
so.
Some of them have gotten quite twisted as well. That one's actually got a spiral on it because it's fallen over.
Do we need spring onions for anything?
There's 2 in the fridge we haven't used yet. But yeah, we may have to find something that needs spring onions. Ideas, anyone? On a postcard?
Can your wife just grow veg or what?
Well, yes, but the problem is that my wife then can't remember what she planted where. These two small difficulties. Hey, Chihuahua. Right, so spring onion conundrum, but you were like, no, it's okay because I labelled everything.
Yeah, except the spring onions.
So why does this label say pak choi? I see no pak choi. Pak choi, all gone. No pak choi. Idiot.
Yeah, so there's loads you could be sown and grown, wherever you are. For me, that's me for just now. I'll let you know if these beans finally take. Some of the things I'm sowing so far in July, it won't be all I'm sown. There'll be more, but that's it for just now. See you, folks.